hi, HyperChat. I believe it's zero behind the actual account. Just to let everybody know, we usually give about the two-thirds of the space dedicated to their project and answer all the stupid questions and the smart ones from Empress and Toast. And then the last third of the space we dedicate to any of the listeners that like to come up and ask me more stupid questions, or if they might have missed anything from the smart ones up here. So with that said, Zero, can you give us a little bit of a TLDR on HyperChat, and then also what got you into the ecosystem?
Absolutely. HyperChat is a peer-to-peer chat. We're looking to support a bunch of different markets in the Hyperliquid ecosystem, but we're starting out with HyperCore, and it's a Chrome extension that operates similar to the OG BitMEX TrollBox. So users can speak and rooms are created on a pairing basis, different rooms for spot and perps, and P&L is shown next to each trader's wallet address or .hl name.
And then about yourself?
I am a software engineer and a fan of music and big fan of Hyperliquid, so happy to be here with you guys.
They're not. They don't like music. Every time I play it, they cut me off from my music.
It's just I have different tastes. That's the whole thing.
I this is the first time I liked your music. This is the first time I've heard you play music in this space. Remember, I haven't been around forever. I'm a new co-host. Anyways, I support your music, Empress.
Forget where I was going to go with this. Thanks, Toast. Oh, there we go. I was actually going to say I was pretty stoked actually like looking through all of the project and whatnot of the information that she sent over, because it actually like ties in perfectly to our guest that we had yesterday. So HyperChat is actually like a peer-to-peer messaging app, like you said. What is it built on?
Once we go public, it's going to be on Waku. And the way it's going to work is each Chrome extension is going to act as like a light node where it's a node to the network and it'll be kind of self-hosted, but also decentralized in a sense. The POC
That
was built on Supabase, but we didn't want to keep that. We wanted to stick to the true like decentral ethos.
that's exactly what I was kind of hoping you were going to say, and I didn't read that incorrectly. We had some guests on yesterday that were talking to us about Waku and how that all works out and ties in with decentralization, especially on the messaging portion. So when I saw that in the docs, I was all like, "Oh yeah!" I was super stoked.
That's awesome.
So regarding the actual, I guess, features of HyperChat, could you give us a little information on how that would work out or anything like that?
Sure. Support wallet sign in from most common wallets. We are currently working on expanding to more browsers. That's like our main focus right now. We started on Google Chrome. Now we're working on Brave and some other browsers to make sure we're fully supported and then ensuring Waku's stable and then we'll be launching. But P&L comes from the HyperCore API, and we also support .hl names. So if you own a bunch of .hl names under your wallet, you could choose which name you want to chat under.
So when you're saying the .hl name, you can like chat under. Is it you guys strictly just doing .hl, or are you guys looking at other ENS names? Is that what it's called, or is that did I totally just butcher that?
No, that's correct. We don't support ENS at the moment. We solely support .hl names. And you
So,
you
like, I guess my question is like, would you be considered bringing in .hype, or are you guys just strictly being a partnership with .hl?
it's actually like not there's no partnership. I think there was a bounty actually during the hackathon for HL names. And so I was like, why not? We might as well incorporate that. And
Oh, perfect. So it's like a unspoken partnership, or was it like a bounty hunting, right?
Well, HL Names was pretty heavily involved with organizing hackathons. So they had their interest in it. Yeah, there was definitely bounty there. But I wanted to ask you, so like you were a hackathon finalist and prize winner with HyperChat. So I was hoping if you could, and congratulations, firstly on that. If you could talk a little bit about the ideation, how you came up with the concept for the project, and like the origin story for it. If you were just like, hey, there's a hackathon, I want to win, so I made something up, or if it was something that you were already thinking about building or were already working on.
sure. Yeah, thank you so much, by the way. So there are two members of the team. It's myself, Zero X Berg, and Zone Guest, Zone_guest, I believe, on Twitter. And we are IRL friends, you could say. I started working on the concept of a chat for Hyperliquid, and I found out that he also was working on something similar, so we joined forces to make HyperChat, and it worked really well. I think that the idea was in existence before the hackathon, but it wasn't executed until the hackathon began.
So it basically gave you like a nudge and a little bit of assurance that you could get some backing if you executed well and everything.
Yeah, Zone Guest and I are both builders, and we actually were like, yeah, we're not big hackathon participants. It's a opportune time. We might as well do the hackathon, but we kind of wanted to make it either way.
To follow on to that, it's a Hyperliquid hackathon. I mean, were you involved in the Hyperliquid ecosystem before that? And why did you decide to build on Hyperliquid?
I got into Hyperliquid ecosystem late 2024. I was just an HLP investor, and it's been good. I'm a big fan of Hyperliquid and the ethos and the community and everything about it. So I was excited for the chance to build something on top of it, even though our product is not inherently on chain. It kind of exists in like a parallel state where we pull data from on chain and it works together, but there's no smart contracts or anything. It's a Chrome extension.
I think that it is fitting though. Any like Hyperliquid, Maxi knows about how the idea with Hyperliquid is to build a financial backend infrastructure and building out features like yours, basically front end features, are the things that Hyperliquid's not going to do that they've opened up to the community to do. Just whatever features will improve the user experience. And if it's like coordination or social, that's stuff that Hyperliquid's never going to build on their own, right? So like it's very ethos based. So that's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that was something we were excited to bring to the community, was a more like social space for traders and anybody else who's ripping hypercore on a regular basis and either wants to flex or share how much they've lost.
Yeah, that would definitely be a me. Anything lost or red, I claim that color 100%. I rarely see green candles when it comes to the core side of things. So, when looking at the actual demo that you had for the hackathon, I'm watching like the extension and like the ease of going between the tokens on core. Now, is this extension currently live?
No. As I was saying, the initial version we created was only stable on a Chrome browser, and we know a lot of people use Brave and different browsers, and we wanted to be able to support all of those as well as have a more stable release that wasn't just a hackathon project. We wanted to make this for the long haul, so we're still working on it, but it should be out soon.
Would it be like more of when, oh, man, I'm gonna butcher this. I'm gonna say Waku. Is that when the chain comes live? Or is that live? I'm now forgetting the space from yesterday.
It's not a Waku dependency, it's more of a internal HyperChat dependency.
So it's not like a peer-to-peer thing. You guys just are like hosting a server somewhere.
No, no, no. I'm sorry about. I.
No. I mean, sorry. We had a conversation with the Logos guys just yesterday. So like, this is where our heads are at with like communication protocols, and we're all excited about peer-to-peer stuff. But sorry, I guess the question is, what is the underlying technology? Is there anything cool there?
Oh, I guess no. I pretty much shared what it is. We're using WXT for extension development, and then Waku is the underpinning network that's decentralized. And then when I was saying like
Yeah, that's super
the
cool.
dependencies.
Waku is super cool.
Oh, thank you.
We love it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's super big.
When I was saying like the dependencies internal, I meant like it's more on us to get this done. Like Waku's great. We're not really waiting on them.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm definitely going to have to put this video in the comment section below so that people can have a better understanding of what we're looking at and kind of like what we're talking about, because I definitely feel it would help out a lot. Sorry if you heard my dog in the background, a little Frenchie. So when you actually download the extension, like on the video, it shows like when you're on core and you're flipping through like the different tokens and whatnot, it changes rooms, right?
Yes. So it will detect the pairing you're trading on Hypercore and will place you in a room accordingly. And if it's spot and perps, say Bitcoin USD, the spot room is going to be different than the perps room.
Oh, so it's not the pairing, it's also dependent on if you're on spot or if you're on perp as well. Like right now, I'm looking at per USDC and it's on spot. But if I were to go to perp trading, it would be a completely separate room as well because I
That's
went to
correct.
perp trading. Okay. And then when you said like you're flexing your P&L, what does that mean? Like in the chat, like how does that show up?
So What's different from BitMEX on our platform is that you don't have a choice if your P&L is shown if you're chatting. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing well, it's awesome. It's great showing everybody how well you're doing. But if you're not, that's still going to show next to your name if you do decide to message in the chat.
Which I think is actually pretty cool because then it can actually like show people like, oh, I'm doing so well, but when really you're like, no, you suck.
Yeah,
Kind of a
it's
thing,
it's
right?
it's like an anti-shill mechanism in a sense where if somebody's talking a big game, you have the stats to prove it.
Yeah, and more of showing people like, okay, is this like a pump and dump? I guess is more of how I can envision it. Because like if you're chatting and the actual thing is going to show like where you're at, and then they can be like, oh wow, like you're just chilling the crap out of this, right? Just so that you can probably dunk on us.
Yes, literally exactly. Yeah, you can make wallets really easily and send a bunch of messages, but if all of them have a $0 P&L, you could take that with a grain of salt.
Oh yeah, exactly. Which I feel like gives you just an extra layer of like information of like how to actually trade, which I think is pretty cool.
Are you showing your position in that market that you're trading in that you have the chat open in, your P&L just like for whatever position's open, or is it like more like a lifetime P&L sort of thing?
That's an awesome question. So it's actually pairing specific, room specific, and then it's the lifetime of that wallet for that specific pairing that you are in the room for.
Whoa, okay, that's kind of cool because that's like a type of P&L that I don't think I can easily get access to on just Hyperliquid's native trading interface. Is that
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
It would be your unrealized, I guess. Like if you were, but it would only show, I think, on the HyperCore GUI
oh, okay, right.
next to your open like positions. You know
I
what I
see,
mean?
yeah. So if I have like a spot or a perps position open, it'll show up like as a row on my dashboard, and then it'll have my unrealized whatever P&L until I close that position. So that's what's displayed in the chat for each user.
Yes, but it's the
Oh,
culmination. If you've opened and closed a ton of positions, those are all included in that math, and then it's unrealized P&L. So it's also your open positions as well.
that's pretty sweet. So that is still something that's a little more nuanced than just like the per position P&L that you see on Hypercore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like a technical question there, is that something that you need to track on your side, or are you able to derive that sort of from the Hypercore APIs?
We can derive that from the HyperCore APIs. The only
That's
issue
pretty
that
sweet. That's
surrounds
pretty
that is,
cool.
I guess, like how often you want to refresh, as there is rate limiting from the HyperCore API.
Got it. Yeah, it's an important question. You don't want to get rate limited.
What would that mean?
It's like, for an example, when I first started building this, and every client is pinging on, I think it was like on a second basis. If there's a ton of people chatting, or there's just enough requests to the HyperCore API, I think it's after like 100 or 200 requests, they just start sending you like you've hit your limit in the API response.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of like the chat got too active, they would throttle it.
Yes,
Okay,
and we're currently working on a system to not ever even have to worry about that. So
perfect. That
Yeah, so like I wouldn't want that if I happened to be sweating like in a trade and I needed to cancel an order. I wouldn't want to be in a situation where my device is hitting a rate limit from the chat feature. So like that's why it could potentially be an issue. So I appreciate you protecting us from that.
no problem. Yeah.
I also noticed like on the demo on the very bottom, it shows like the HL name, but it does have like a little arrow button. So does that mean that you could log in with multiple wallets, or obviously that would be tied to multiple names so that you can flip through the names differently? Or is that just showing you saying like, hey, this is who you're identifying yourself as and you have to sign in one at a time?
Great question. So if you owned a bunch of HL names in your wallet, you could use any of those HL names to chat.
Okay, so then
At any,
it could
I
toggle, you
guess,
could
yeah,
toggle through, but then also on top of that, since the HL name is like an actual NFT, people could just look it up and see like, oh, this person is these five people kind of thing if they're all chatting in there. So it kind of gives you an extra layer of security on top of that.
definitely. I mean, yeah, it's not a great way to obfuscate your identity, if that's, I guess, the question. It would be more like, I don't know, okay, let's say you had I love hype.hl, you could use that when you're in the hype chat, and then if you had something else for a different.
I love BNB for your BNB perp trade.
Oh yeah, I know Empress is probably in the background being like, why is Brute making this more complicated than what it really needs to be? But I'm like, you know what? I'm actually super interested in this because after hearing the whole conversation yesterday of like the peer-to-peer chatting and like how it can be so decentralized, and then seeing that tech actually be incorporated now on Hyperliquid, and then also watching the demo last night and right now, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Because I start thinking of like other, I guess like areas that it could be utilized, right? So I guess that would lead me to the question of, have you guys considered also pitching it to like other platforms? For example, if I wanted to go to Ultrasolid or Hybra or HyperFi or Hyperland, right? I can log in and I can start doing like a chat right there as well.
Yes, so that's our next objective, is to move towards Hyper EVM land. That's been in the plan since like day one. It's just we wanted to start with HyperCore first, just because there's not really a social experience on HyperCore terminal.
Just in the hackathon, I don't know if you were gaming the hackathon at all, but we definitely communicated during the competition that we were going to prioritize apps that used Hypercore. That was really just a way to filter out just EVM forks, which we got a ton of. So like, I don't know if that's part of the reason you did that, but good job.
No, I honestly had no clue. I think Zone Guest and I both just are big users of HyperCore, and we thought it'd be a good place to start. And we just based the POC on that and then kept pushing.
Now that I say this out loud and then I hear the reasoning behind it, I did do what Empress said, is make it more complicated, because like when you look at some of these protocols when they're launching their tokens, they're actually also buying the ticker itself to be like on spot. So you're kind of already creating that community right then and there, because they're going to be looking at that specific token to be trading on, and they're clearly using that protocol in some fashion. So you're kind of already starting that dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. And you could also say that when something gets delisted, it's delisted from HyperChat as well. So
I really do think that this is something I would be interested in, more so because of like how we started off the conversation of this space of how X just completely botched the whole messaging system. And I feel like something like this would be super nice just to be able to plug in and then be like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to talk to people that are like minded. My other, I guess, start more so on the chat thread itself. Is it something that gets erased in a certain period of time? Does it stay there forever? How does that work out?
at the moment, I believe it would be as long as the light nodes are holding it afloat, if that makes sense. So each Chrome extension acts as a light node and makes like a network between all the different nodes. And from there, as long as that is kept afloat, I think that all the messages would be as immutable as that node network.
Yeah, actually, a random, just because we talked to the Logos guys yesterday, I think that is a value that's configurable on the light node, and its default value is 12 hours. So we can guess that probably the messages will linger for 12 hours.
Sure.
Okay, that's actually
Sure, yeah, whatever. Just wild speculation. I have no idea.
no,
I wasn't even taking notes. I just remembered something from yesterday. It was 12 hours, so who knows?
I didn't hear the hours portion, but I remember them saying something that I
Like when a message, yeah,
yeah,
I don't even know if we're talking about the same like, I don't know. There were
yeah.
a lot of
Because
things
I like
in
my
that
thought
combo.
was like if it stays forever or if it goes away. So like just in case people are like, and I'm thinking more so time change differences, because how we do our scheduling our spaces, like if it's completely different in time changes, like you want to be able to talk to someone and then they're not going to wake up for 8 hours. Like I want to make sure that message is still there, right?
Yes. There's also something to like keep in mind, is like there's public and private Waku channels.
So would both of those be incorporated in your guys' hyperchat?
I believe it'll only be private,
Okay.
as we don't want somebody who doesn't have a HyperChat Chrome extension to come in and start spamming the channel, and then what's not verifiable on chain or any, that'd be problematic.
Yeah, and then obviously the throttling and whatnot, but that's going to be fixed hopefully later down the road. I think this is super interesting, especially when you start thinking about like taking it across the EVM portion. That's just something that I would be like super interested in, just because of all the sites that I actually just immediately go to just to check in my portfolio or just look at like my randomness and not have to come on X. But go ahead, Toast. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add on to that. I'm very like HyperFi oriented, and HyperFi has this kind of like intermarket aspect of it with the pooled markets, where there are often opportunities to either reduce your interest payment by swapping your stable debt into another denomination, or to increase your yield potentially. Like recently, you could earn up to 10% yield on your Solana, your unit Solana on Hyper EVM. So there's always these like back channel chats. Like I'm in all these chats where people are like, hey, does anyone have significant Solana holdings? Interest rates really high. You could use a feature like this that's kind of like, hey, here's a chat based around HyperFi, and people are just communicating when these opportunities pop up in more of a single place rather than being split across X and Telegram and Discord. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think there's something special about having it exist on Hyperliquid or on Hyper EVM protocols is you're not really getting any of the non-doers in the conversation.
I also think of it as well as like a customer service, right? When you go straight onto the actual EVM, they could just throw up this chat and they could be like, "Hey, this is who I am." The wallet's already associated to. So like a lot of that information that probably normally people would ask is already there, right? For them just to click, go, this is the person, this is their wallet. Now it's just what's the transaction, which I think would be super beneficial across like all EVM projects.
Absolutely. That's really cool, yeah.
I'm throwing out random ideas and I don't know if you guys have thought of it or not, but I'm like super stoked on this because again, I like yapping. I don't know if that's a good term or a bad term, but I like chit chatting with people,
No.
I guess.
The term was definitely a prospect for our name when we were in the ideation phase. Different yap variations, but
Yapper Liquid.
yeah. Yeah, we're definitely open to expanding the social feature side of it. That's something we're exploring right now, and there's a lot of cool stuff that could be done with that.
I definitely agree. There are just certain things that you see being built and that you just see is an easy fix for some of the issues that I'm currently going through with some of this X chats. They're just it's a pain in my butt. When it comes to some of these social features that you were talking about, what do you guys have coming in the pipeline? Which would be one question. And then when do you see a potential beta testing of this?
I don't know if I'm able to speak on either of those right now. That's okay. Hopefully, we're going to be launching in the next few months. It's the goal.
So we'll say Q1
Yeah,
of
well,
26.
we'll say Q1 in prospectively before if all goes to plan.
Yeah,
So,
we'll just give you a good solid time frame. I mean, obviously the holidays and whatnot are gonna probably push it out further, but Q1 for beta testing, right?
yes, and for social features, there's a lot of things that we've considered, but
TBD.
yeah,
Exactly.
a better profile view would be one of them that I think we're going to build. So when you hover over what you guys were asking about earlier with the different, oh, this guy owns 5 HL names, and I don't know who he is inherently without going to a block explorer. Like you could hover over that, see all the HL names, have a link to click on that wallet from Hyperscan or, something like that, where you can get more context about who you're talking to.
Whoa! I just had a crazy idea that it feels really okay. So what about this? If you're hovering over a user, you see all this information about them. You know how a lot of people like will post screenshots with their buys and sells. They like appear as circles above the chart. Like, what if you could hover over a user and then it'll overlay their buys and sells on the chart that you have open on that pair? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, so we actually that's it's funny you mentioned that. We actually have started dabbling with stuff like that. You can see a little bit of it. Zone Guest was pretty excited about that kind of stuff. You could type in slash P&L or I guess what was it like slash volume, and it would highlight different parts of the chart in the GUI for everybody. So yeah, we just started messing around with that kind of technology. I'd never interacted with the DOM like that as a developer before, but it's cool. It's doable.
It seems totally doable, and it's like this very interesting angle on trading as a more social experience.
We'll definitely keep that in mind. That's a really cool suggestion.
Because you could be like, whatever, this guy's LARPing, and be like, I see, like top lasted, buddy.
Yep,
That's
that would
awesome.
be Groot. That's 100% Groot. Top blast everything. The other thing that I was thinking of is like it would be cool to tie in their X name in some fashion, and maybe not necessarily send it to their profile, but at least they can actually put the name out there so you can see like what's that associated with. Because sometimes people don't use their X names; they use like other randomness.
So yeah, we were considering using do you guys have HL names? I'm assuming
Oh
so.
yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I believe you can set social links in the HL names, and that's on chain, and then we can get all of the different like records from HL names and incorporate it into HyperChat.
Now that you say that, I'm starting to remember the HL name spaces that we did with them. And then I remember they also have other wallets to other chains. So I think they also had Solana and Bitcoin as well that they could pull from. So with
Oh
that said,
wow.
have you guys thought of maybe also incorporating this in other ecosystems minus Hype or other than
N-
Hype?
Not whatsoever, to be honest with you. We're hype maxis.
Oh, that love to hear that.
Yeah, just like for dev speak for a minute, the HL names will actually, you can store a blob of text on Hyper EVM that has your whatever, your Bitcoin address, your Solana address in there. So you could pull that information if people were asking for that feature.
Sure. Definitely something to keep in mind for the future, but right now we're pretty focused on Hypercore and Hyper EVM ecosystems.
You're focused on launching basic product, which I think is the most important thing to do right now, for sure.
Now that I think about it, I wonder if those extra Bitcoin and Solana is something that to do with the unit. I wonder if that would be able to pull like the unit data, like what you have there on unit that's on now on core. I don't know. I'm now completely making this probably more complicated and I'm the dumb of the space.
I would think that because those are all on unit, that it just still falls under Hypercore, or before pre-bridge, like I guess it would just go into Hypercore.
You could just track the unit, whatever the unit wallet, and pair that with the user's wallet and find those. Like you could do that.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
For,
Heck
I
yeah.
guess, marketing purposes, how are you guys going to get this out to everybody? I'm just more just now thinking randomness stuff.
We're a pretty bootstrap team, and we're trying to keep it, I guess, aligned to the Hyperliquid ethos of no marketing, no shilling our product. We're just gonna probably start very small, and as it expands organically, it'll expand at the rate it is meant to.
I actually love to hear that, especially hearing more Hyperliquid aligned, especially when you're in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. I think that's just something that gives me warm, fuzzy feelings on the inside when I
That's
hear those type of things.
that's amazing. Love that.
Toast, do you have any other questions that you'd like to bring up before I open this up to guests?
I think that we've gone over the basic product, the backstory. I don't have any questions. I had a comment about yapping, which is that I feel like we need to reclaim the word because there's a certain protocol that was issuing something called the yaps, and they don't own that term. Yapping was something that people said a long time ago. So we can take it back. We can say yapping without talking about that protocol. I'm not even going to name it because I resent them for that. So those are my thoughts on using yap as a word.
Yeah, we're just chatting on this side.
I actually do have another random question that just popped in my head. So, reading through everything, is there some type of governance portion of this? And then, how would you prevent spamming in the chat itself? So, if someone just doesn't go in there, and just puts www like the whole way through, right? Like, obviously, you want them to not just put random stuff in the chat. Like, you want it to be actual information.
We haven't solidified this yet, but there definitely is going to be some sort of governance where it operates as like a democracy where people can, vote, or if consensus is reached that there's a malicious actor in the chat, that can be hidden.
When you're looking like the P&L, will there be like some type of like leaderboard that shows that, oh, hey, this person means business? Like clearly they're doing really well, almost like a star or something like that next to their name to kind of show that, okay, this is someone that you probably should listen to.
Yes, we did come up with different tiers of user based on kind of the volume in their P&L, but we're not going to have a leaderboard similar to Hypercore or I guess just like the Hyperliquid app, because we kind of want it to be like a you had to be there kind of thing.
Gotcha. Perfect. So, just a heads up to our listeners, this is a time where we are going to invite anybody that wants to come up, hit that request button, and feel free to come up and either ask some smart questions or any of the dumb questions that I might have asked during this time frame, or if you have a new one. So, don't hesitate to hit that while we.
Yeah. By the way, we're not fading Empress. Empress had some parenting stuff, so she's offline. We would also obviously ask Empress to ask her questions, but just want to let you all know that she had something come up. Apologies on her behalf.
I actually did have another question that popped in my head that I didn't see on the demo. So, with This is for spots and perps. Now, would this be something that could also translate over into vaults as well?
Oh, I thought the question was going a totally different direction, but not the moment. We weren't planning on that just because there's generally like one person involved with the vault strategy, and I guess other people could chat about it, but it's not as like everybody has autonomy over their plays and their strategy, so it doesn't make as much sense, but we're open to building that out in the future.
I was just thinking of some other protocols and how they're built around the vaults. And I was kind of like, oh, this would kind of be a cool feature just because, like you said, it's like one person handling the whole vault, but then whoever's handling that vault, you'd have everybody who would go in and they can kind of like also chat with it. So, like, if you had a group of friends and they're like, hey, we're all going to do the exact same thing anyways, let's just put it in a vault and we'll just trade it together at once.
No, that's great. I mean, there's definitely some user vaults that I've been eyeing for a while now. HF, Growy, and some of the other ones. Like I just check in on how those people are doing. So that would be cool to communicate.
I was literally just looking at the demo and I was like, oh, now that I think about it, what about the vaults?
And then
Well,
HIP3 coming up,
you know what? Now that you say that, that's probably where you're going, where you thought the question would probably going.
Yeah,
Have you guys considered the HIP3 as well, incorporating it?
well, yeah, it actually works with HIP3. So the way it's architected, it will work natively with HIP3 pairings.
Now that is pretty cool, especially as we like come online with all the other different assets that are coming on HIP3. I think that would be super interesting just to hear everybody's perspective because we're talking about actual stocks and whatnot, right?
Opens up the chat to a lot more people that might be entering the Hyperliquid ecosystem solely for aftermarket trading.
Well, is there anybody in the listeners that want to come up, hit that request button? If not, I don't know, Zero, if you have anything else that you want to say real quick that we might have not touched on or that you kind of want to announce, feel free.
Not at the moment. Follow HyperChat for upcoming announcements. We're looking forward to having you all chat with us. And thank you so much to DeFi for Dummies. Thank you, Groot. Thank you, Toast. Thank you, Empress, for hosting HyperChat. We really, really appreciate it.
Before I give you all my praises, go ahead, Toast, you go. And then I think Chroma is connecting, so he might have a question. So we'll see if he connects up.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna throw flowers, but yeah, we Chroma here. We are just gonna say we love anyone, everyone building on Hyperliquid. This is a cool tool that I am excited to use for sure. Happy to have you up here, and we also like to invite our guests back up whenever you guys, when it's a critical moment, when you're launching a beta product or something. Feel free to hit us up, and we'd love to have you back on.
Thank you so, so much. We will definitely be happy to hop back on upon launch. So really appreciate the opportunity.
Before we sign off, Chroma, you got the floor.
Hey, howdy, guys. Have to excuse me. Walking outside of the building. Okay, HyperChat. Really interesting concept. I like this idea. And I'll tell you why. So, for those that are Hyperliquid traders, there's a product called Silico Terminal, and they incorporated that MEXi troll box, right? They have a troll box, and it's dope as hell, right? But it only works on Silico Terminal. So, I think what you guys are aiming for here with building something that is a Chrome extension or a browser extension globally and having that have chat room pairs, I think that's great. I think the ability to shit talk with your trades and maybe share alpha or something like that is really helpful. And it's, I don't know, the Insilico troll box is kind of fun sometimes. So I think you guys are cooking here. Keep at her, bud.
Thank you so much. I got to check that out.
Yeah, Silico terminal is pretty dope. It's basically like the power user trading terminal for Hyperliquid, and not a whole lot of people use it, but a lot of large wallets use Silico terminal. And I just like Silico because it's data rich and they are always coming out with new power user features. But yeah, the troll box is one feature that has been a component of it for a long while. And I think it's cool that you guys are working on something that brings that out of just the Silico bubble. And you guys working on actual other browsers like not in Chrome extension browser as I think is a good thing. So yeah, really cool, really cool. I can't actually wait to try this out. Not gonna lie.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support and I'll check out in silico. I actually was not aware of that, so I'll give it a peep.
That's all I had. Thank you, Groot.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, HyperChat, again for coming up and joining us on space. I definitely appreciate it. Clearly, you guys are hitting something right out of the park with this. It seems like there is a bunch of interest, and I feel like it coming out now is perfect timing, especially how X is completely effing everybody when it
But
comes to their chats.
before we end the call, could I get your feedback on what you don't like about the new X chats? All I know is that they're end-to-end encrypted, and I thought that was beneficial thing, but I'd like to hear what criticisms you guys have.
I don't actually mind the end-to-end encryption. It's just the UI itself just does not mesh well, and it's laggy. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. Toast, you might have a little bit more experience, but like for me,
Yeah,
that's definitely
so one problem is that they just decided to create a new chat. So there's like still the old chat UI is still there, and then you have to go to a different place on the app to get to the new interface. The new interface includes chats from the old system, but why wouldn't they just make it the old button that I hit to go to chats, the new one? You know what I'm saying? Like I have to go to a different area. And then, yeah, just like Groot said, it's laggy. So, like, if I send a message, I don't immediately see the message that I sent appear. Like, I don't care if it hasn't arrived on the other end yet. I just want to know that my app knows that I sent the message and that it doesn't. So it's like when I open the new chat interface, there's just a bunch of like blank PFPs and it just says user instead of the actual user like handles for each chat and until it all loads. It's just like a really bad app. Like they just built a new thing that sucks ass, you know?
So it just
I,
sounds like they're just shipping straight to prod. Like they didn't do skeleton loading or any like good
yeah,
practices to make
e-
this smooth UX.
exactly. And the other thing is that I noticed, especially last night when I was trying to goof off, I can't send GIFs on desktop. And if I can, definitely use your error 100%. But every time I try to hit the plus sign, it opens up like my actual like C drive, right? Or like my downloads and stuff like that. So like there's not a way for me to actually find any GIFs that are actually on X like normally. But if I go on mobile, it's there. So if you guys were to incorporate anything, I would love for you guys to be able to incorporate GIFs because that would be awesome. Because I think that would be funny. But obviously that would be way down the road. But still.
That's great.
Uh
That's a great
yeah.
suggestion. I'll definitely consider that.
But that's definitely the reason why I can't stand these chats. And then most of the chats that I'm in are the protocols that I use, and obviously some friends and stuff like that. So being able to have this like on the EVM side, I think would be really cool because then I could just go straight to the actual platform, which I'm already there normally, and then be able to talk to people right then and there because I'll be looking at it and stuff like that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because then I would never have to really use X unless I'm sending stupid pictures and whatnot.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've actually been having issues with my X messages on the previous version. I don't get notifications from when certain people message me. I don't. Yeah, it's just really, really, really buggy. So
Yeah, I
See?
also have the same experience with the old messages, right? Like I already had a broken workflow for like I don't know why I'm using this app for work, but I am. And so okay, it's not working, but I had a workflow that was suddenly working for me. And it smells to me like somebody bought this app and fired all the engineers and then hired new engineers who are trying to fix the bugs in the chat. But they said, I don't know, let's just build a new chat. And that's what they did. That's just kind of what this feels like.
Yep. And then they shipped it, and then like we'll fix it as we hear the complaints.
yeah, we're seeing Peter levels dev techniques make their way to corporations, which is pretty interesting. Shipping to prod.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. So, but yeah, that's definitely why I feel like HyperChat is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a home run as soon as you guys launch it. So again, thank you for joining us. I definitely appreciate it, and thank you, Chroma, for coming up and asking some questions, and of course to all our listeners who joined to listen to this space, and then also those who are now listening to it recorded because this is a recorded space. Also, we did partner up with Beef, who does amazing interviews with other protocols and the founders themselves. So definitely check him out. Toast, you have anything else, Chroma or Zero, who's behind the HyperChat thing to say? We will close up shop.
Shut her down, Sam.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, nothing from me. I think we're good to close her down.
Cool. Also, give HyperChat a follow, and my apologies for pushing that at the end. With that, talk to y'all later. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.